This is Three Dog.
How can I help?
Andy Burkowski here, VGS on Talk Radio AM 640. We're a week out of E3, the Super Bowl, Christmas time, any sort of holiday that you love in the world of gaming. And one of the biggest showcases, something that people were so excited for, was an announcement from the gods that are BioWare in their new game, Mass Effect Andromeda. They showed a trailer. People got very excited about it. People had some opinions, so I decided to go on the internet and type in Mass Effect YouTube, and I found 4 names. Fortunately, all of these individuals were so gracious to join us on the show. If you're watching this online, then you get to see their beautiful faces. If not, look it up online. They're all here, starting with, we'll go on my screen what I have. Ashe, Lady Insanity. She does a lot of Mass Effect. All these people do Mass Effect stuff. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and Ability Drain from across the pond here, gracing the Canadian airwaves. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're totally welcome. It's very late here, but I'm awake, so it's all good.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. And we have as well, finishing it out, not quite, GamerMD83. Thank you.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
And another male voice. Man, this industry is just dominated with women. Right there, BioFan?
Hey there.
That was sarcasm, in case anyone is listening. All right, so everyone here adores Mass Effect. It's something that you've all spent, you're all YouTubers, you're all streamers, you've all spent a lot of hours making Mass Effect stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pose this to the panel. We'll start with Ashe. Over the last week, we got to see an actual trailer. Actually, a week ago today, on Sunday, we got to see a trailer from the new Mass Effect Andromeda. I think most of you, if not all of you, have made videos about it. If you had 30 seconds, Ashe, how would you describe that trailer?
Great and informative, as long as you're paying attention. I think that's the best way I could actually put it, because I mean, my expectations were kind of low into thinking, like, I knew it wasn't going to be a demo, it was likely going to be a trailer, and so it was a mix of gameplay and also the, I guess, best way of putting it, dev diary. So I was like, okay, this is good. But only if you know Mass Effect. If you don't know anything about Mass Effect, it just seems kind of like a cop-out a little bit. So, but for someone who watches Mass Effect, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So
your time is
enjoyed
up.
it.
Ability Drain. Next up. You got to see the same thing. She said a lot of great stuff. What do you think?
I thought it was very pretty, but like Ashe said, it's kind of a blink and you miss it sort of thing. If you know what you're looking for, then easily you can pick out all sorts of stuff that to anybody else would be easily missed. But I mean, I wasn't expecting there to be a huge amount anyway. So, yeah. I mean, for me, I enjoyed it, but I can see why other people might be a bit annoyed at what was shown.
GamerMD, you had a chance to make a video on it as well. Similar sort of thoughts as your compatriots here?
Yeah, similar, exciting, a bit different, but still familiar, and very pretty. I just loved it. But yeah, once you if you actually sit there and analyze like we all do, you find little tiny things where you're like, oh wow. But well, yeah, hey, I think overall was awesome.
What was your, Miss GamerMD, your oh wow thing that you discovered? Because I know the other guys will get a chance to say, but like you said, everyone went through with a fine-tooth comb. What was the biggest thing that impressed you, I guess, the most through your hard examination of the trailer?
Well, when it comes to examination, it was definitely the Krogan dropping the character scene.
That was the best.
That was the one where I was like, like in my reaction, I was literally like, oh my God, I just came up with something.
Okay, but all right, we'll go next to Mr. BioFan. You know, I assume you enjoyed it as well. No dissenting opinions here.
Yeah, kind of in line with everyone else. I really enjoyed it. I kind of thought there was going to be more since we're kind of close to when they are supposed to launch. But what they did show was really awesome. I actually thought it was mostly CG at first until they told us it was all in game. Then I was like, oh my goodness. And I also agree that, like, if you go through frame by frame, like the 4 of us did, you'll find all these little things they actually showed. But if you just watch the trailer the first time, you don't see all of the awesome things that are in it. the first go.
What would be for you, BioFan, something that you noticed looking through the trailers that you think gets you most excited for the eventual release of Mass Effect Andromeda?
When I was going through frame by frame, one thing I noticed that was like kind of hidden in the trailer was like on Ryder's arm has like the AI or the A1 symbol that I thought that looked pretty interesting, because in the past we've been Commander Shepard in 7 all the way, and now we're some sort of AI or A1 person. That I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right, anyone else? Just feel free. Something that, looking at the trailer through your heart examination, really, really spoke to you, that you think maybe you're onto something that a lot of other people didn't grasp?
I wouldn't say I was onto something, but the Asari had eyebrows, and they don't usually have eyebrows. They have markings,
but
and
that's
sometimes. Sorry, go for it.
Liara had them, and then also
Yeah, but they were like,
Nature of
drawn on,
were they like
but not hairy. They were like
drawn
marking
on, kind of
previous. And so I'm thinking maybe because obviously the Asari mate with other species, perhaps traits from the father or previous generations are starting to come through as they've evolved or something, and maybe more human or masculine traits or whatever are coming out. Then again, it could just be that Frostbite allows them to do hairy eyebrows and they thought, let's go for it. It's hard to say.
They now
Could
look
be
like
anything.
hair.
You're hairy now. Huh.
Here-
Yeah, probably.
So, this game that takes you to another galaxy that allows you to do things that they claim you've never been able to done before. The one thing that really blew your away, ability drain, is eyebrows.
Yeah.
Those eyebrows are on fleek, though.
Okay, so let's I throw this to, looking randomly here, Ashe, you're up. How would you describe, for someone that is, not familiar with Mass Effect Andromeda, what is your 20-second pitch about this game?
Consider the future when we actually make space travel a thing. That Earth needs resources and we need to expand into other galaxies. How will we do it? What is the journey that we're going to undertake? That is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Very, very good. Anyone else think that's bullcrap and they have their own version?
I got one. I got one.
No.
Oh, ability drain, please do.
Yeah. If you like
Bring
space
it.
and you want to romance aliens, then this game is for you.
Priorities.
Yeah, that's
All right.
That's
Well,
exactly
this one's for GamerMD. I think a lot of your videos, a lot of what you do, it's important that you convey a certain level of passion. Everyone here does, but I think that's a big thing with what you do. Looking at Mass Effect Andromeda, there's been at least a small segment, some worries that maybe this isn't going to be, the similar sort of experience that we've been used to for a decade now with Mass Effect. Looking at the trailer, what we've seen, what we've read, are you still excited for this? Is it the same level, or are you a little trepidatious?
I'm actually very excited because I wanted to see something different. I said in one of my videos, I was like, if we see the Return of the Reapers or some the Protheans in a completely different galaxy, I'm gonna be pissed off. That's really gonna piss me off. I really want to see something new, and I was excited from the get-go. I was like, oh, I hope we go to a different galaxy, and it's this whole this Voyager type of thing, and we're seeing new stuff, and now they could, they don't have to follow this cookie cutter stuff that they had established from the trilogy. So I'm excited for all the new stuff. I mean, that's what I said. It looks different but familiar. So I think that's what's really grounding a lot of Mass Effect fans, is that it looks familiar.
Anyone else here actually on the other side of the fence, a little more worried than excited?
I don't think I'm worried because they've made it very clear Shepard's story is over. This is a new galaxy, a new story, new protagonists, new characters. So if anyone was obviously coming back in hoping for Shepard or hoping to pick up where the previous games left off, then, that's not going to be a thing. There are going to be references and Easter eggs, no doubt. But beyond that, there's going to be familiar ties to it because it's Mass Effect. But that aside, it's new.
I'm kind of actually although there's going to be a lot of new stuff and that's going to be awesome, there are races that are coming back. We already saw the Asari and the Krogan that are going to be there. My fear right now is what happened in Dragon Age, where it was only a third game out of the series, and it went not only so far into the lore, but it kind of turned it on his head with Solus. If they
Oh,
do
yeah.
that with Andromeda, though, that's like that. The fear that I have is that they're going to change the lore, not change the lore, but add to the lore to such a point that it's kind of like, wait. I need to go back because that doesn't sound
Yeah.
right, or this sounds like way too much. Like,
Or like they're trying too hard and that kind of thing.
yeah. Oh, here's the plot twist. Like, no,
Yeah.
just chill.
Yeah, give it to me
Excellent.
slowly, shit.
Again, speaking with a pack of YouTubers who have spent most of their online careers talking about Mass Effect, Andy Burkowski on VGS Talk Radio AM 640, talking about the new game Mass Effect Andromeda. You know, everyone seems to be pretty optimistic. There are some fears coming from Ashe on one side of the fence here. But,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead. BioFan.
When they first did Dragon Age Inquisition, a main complaint was there's a little bit too many side quests. So I hope they heard that and are making a better story to side quest ratio for Andromeda.
If the side quests do sort of tie in with the main story, kind of like the way The Witcher 3 did it, then it will be amazing. What you don't want is loads of empty, beautiful looking spaces with nothing much going on.
I have no food. Can you get me like 10 pieces of ham? Thanks, bye.
No.
So you're not
Am I
looking
ring?
forward to getting ham things there, Ashe?
No.
No.
Yeah, go get like 5 bears and for no reason because bears. Yeah, great.
This is exactly why I came to this galaxy.
Bears, obviously.
Looking a little bit at what information that's come out after the trailer, you know, Mac and the team, they've had the chance to do a couple of interviews. Usually they seem to be sticking to a similar sort of script. You know, they seem to know what they're talking about. It's not entirely ambiguous. Is there any excess information, if you have been keeping up, that worries you? I know you, BioFan, got Mac even himself to confirm that the main character, his name is Ryder, and there's likely going to be siblings, I believe, kind of hearkening back to the Dragon Age 2 setup a little bit. Anything there that you want to discuss?
Well, they said that at E3, but I did get Mac to confirm that Ryder's named after Sally Ride, who was the first American woman in space, so that's pretty cool. But given that this is a BioWare game, I'm pretty sure our siblings are going to die at some point.
Yes.
But
When it comes to a
okay,
Bioware game, it's either you have father issues or you have like someone trying to stab you in the back, like that is
Oh,
a
that'll
sibling
be a
of some
thing,
sort.
definitely. And those tags, the rider tags, I think it was confirmed on Twitter that they don't belong to the protagonist. So I think
they belong to
whichever
someone
sibling
else.
we play, it's probably the other sibling that dies, or it's your dad that's dead, and he was like a big space marine guy, and or you know, that's the sort of thing that happens in BioFan games and BioWare.
I make games too. Whoa.
Yeah.
So that it looks as if they might be hearkening to a gameplay design model that really takes away and borrows from Inquisition and the Dragon Age franchise. You're nodding, GamerMD, so I'll go to you. Is there anything, you know, is that a good thing? Or I look at it and these things were so distinctive, you know, Mass Effect and Dragon Age. I remember we had on the show months ago, we had David Gator and Drew Karpyshyn, the minds that created each one. And it's a great story where they both said, you know, we're in a room and they said, I want to make a space game, I want to make a fantasy game. And they just went off and now, you know, look what we have. They're starting to meld a little bit. I'm a little concerned about that. How do you feel there, GamerMD?
Well, I think it's nothing new when it comes to BioWare. Like now we're seeing them introduce more of a sibling. At least that's what I'm thinking. Well, when I said that the part where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the part where the Krogan is dropping the guy. The thing that I noticed was that the guy that is kneeling right by the Krogan is most likely the N7 character that we saw in the first trailer. And I was like, why is he just sitting there watching this Krogan drop this guy? So I was like, this is probably the bad guy, this N7 guy. And now I'm like, what if he's also the sibling? So I think it would be tying a lot into like Knights, I think Knights of the Old Republic, and even
Knights of
Dragon
Fallen
Age
Empire.
2, yeah. And I think that's awesome. I mean, even in Dragon Age Inquisition, we saw a lot of correlations between Mass Effect, like with the Protheans and the ancient elves. It was very similar. So since it's the same developer, you are going to see some similarities in their games. And I think if it worked and they just put a twist on it, I think it could make for really good storytelling.
Yeah, like I'm not bothered at all by that. Like there's only so many different ways you can take a story without having similar themes happen.
And you are going to borrow from, other sources as well. And they do not just within their own teams in the studio, but for other franchises as well. So
I mean, you're going to have Fade husbands, and then you're going to have Space husbands. I mean, that's just a wide theme.
Oh, again, speaking with a gaggle of YouTubers all about Mass Effect Andromeda. They've taken the time to really examine it, done the work that we don't have the time to do, and they're going to tell us all of the very, very specific goodies. This time around in Mass Effect Andromeda, they mentioned that the idea of space exploration, perhaps even space colonization, will be implemented in some way. We'll start with you, Ashe, and we'll go around the table. How do you hope it will be implemented, and how do you think it actually will be implemented? So your hopes for it, and then, of course, the unfortunate reality.
Well, considering that it is on Frostbite, there's a lot that can be done. And with what they did with Dragon Age, I mean, they already have like the engine, which was originally an FPS engine. Now it's catered, it has RPG elements. It's totally possible to have like expansive worlds, not necessarily open world where we can have like one seamless exploration a la Bethesda games like Fallout or anything like that. But we have the option here to, because we have the Mako and we also have the Tempest, which is the new spaceship that we have. It's like we have the option of exploring and doing everything on the go and actually hands-on exploration rather than, oh, we're going to walk around, we're going to pick a couple of herbs, then keep going, which we had in Dragon Age, it was nice. But I think in Mass Effect, we're going to have way more expansion into that and more engagement with our environments.
All right, Ability Drain, to you about the notion of having colonization, exploration, just this whole big question mark of what BioWare is up to when it comes to this mechanic in Mass Effect Andromeda.
Well, I mean, I hope that it's not going to end up with a Fallout 4 situation with like a space Preston saying another settlement needs your help, and I'm gonna have to shoot whoever it is if that's a thing.
Quadrant 17 needs your help right now.
At least it's not raining, babe. Oh God. But no, I think I kind of hope in that sense it does kind of follow a Fallout 4 route in that we can obviously create settlements in a sense, not obviously exactly the same as Fallout 4, but I mean, how can you even guess? It's a brand new game, different galaxy. I have no idea how they're going to implement something like that. Obviously, with exploration, I dare say it'll be along a similar sort of lines of Dragon Age Inquisition, although the Mako comes and drives around up mountains and things.
Yeah,
whereas in
well,
yeah, exactly. And then I just drive vertically up a mountain rather than taking my horse up a mountain. And
they better not change the Mako.
Fly off
to go crazy with those physics.
Yeah.
And BioFan, same question about the idea of colonization.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to stay on a ship. I think obviously people are going to go down to planets and start kind of settlement sort of things. I'm not sure how the mechanics will work of it, but if you look in the trailer, there's several scenes that include like obviously buildings that have been made from Milky Way species, and there's also one scene where the Tempest is parked right outside of one, and it looks like the protagonist is walking outside of it, so it looked kind of like a house. So it could be a settlement or like a player base or something. I think it could be either that each settlement is kind of like a storyline thing, or it could be kind of like where you set up a camp in Inquisition, but significantly more interactive. The engine allows for more NPCs to be walking around. Like if you played on Xbox One versus Xbox 360, you had more NPC volume. So it allows there to be like little towns or settlements and things with NPCs all over the place.
And of course, finally, GamerMD, what do you think about how they're going to implement this idea of colonization and what you really want, from that kind of mechanic? Because it seems to be a pretty big one.
Well, I really loved the exploration of Mass Effect 1, but I always wanted more. Like I wanted a reason to explore the planet and not just, oh, I found these dog tags. And it's like, okay, bye. Um, so I want more. I want more there, kind of like an Inquisition, where you start to like, ooh, the plot unfolds, on different planets. But I also think that they're gonna. Speculation of mine is that they're going to probably incorporate like colonization with an iron fist, or and also colonization of like actually wanting to connect with these new species and relate to them, and kind of like get their approval type of thing, because that's a very BioWare
Morality
thing.
options, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking that this N7 guy is probably the one that is trying to colonize these species with an iron fist, because in the first trailer he turns to the camera and immediately takes his gun out, and it's like, why is he going in hostile?
I didn't even pick up on that. That's clever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think you're going in to kind of like, either probably, if there's that whole, because they're saying that there's more gray here, not so much renegade paragon. So I think you're there to kind of balance that out, and so it's not like, where it's like we're here to move on as a species, or as species from the Milky Way, but also to support you guys as well.
Well, yeah, speaking to that, sorry, 1 second there. Speaking to that notion of what you mentioned there, that's some pretty big information that we heard this week. That twofold, I think, kind of the biggest nuggets that we were able to hear from all these little interviews were that the ending will have no bearing of the series Mass Effect 3. Oh, we got a thumbs up there from Ashe on what happens in Mass Effect Andromeda. And the other piece of information, you mentioned it, GamerMD, that they're moving away from Paragon Renegade. These are two huge tenets of what makes BioWare games. The idea of connecting a story game to game to game, and their system of Paragon Renegade, or the dualities of morality type of thing. Ashe, since you gave some kind of visual cue when I said this, considering this, how do you feel? Do you think this is a step in the right direction, or is BioWare losing something?
So, in my opinion, I actually like it a lot. And because
Same here.
for whenever we deal with, for instance, going back to Coder, it was one of, like Knights of the Old Republic, it was one of those that actually was totally okay with you being gray. That you didn't have to go one way or the other, that you had the option to actually explore it and not be shoved into this, you're going to be a hero, you're going to be an anti-hero. And it gave you the option to really develop your own character rather than a character that is going to be a paragon or a renegade. As much as we know Mass Effect to be that, at the same time, I do want more fidelity with my choices whenever I actually have a character like this. And especially since it's going to be a new character, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Sorry, 1 second there, BioFan. Just so going from that also to the idea of not having that impact of the trilogy and the choices you made.
God.
See, but that's interesting, because there were some radically different choices that change everything in huge ways. It led to a gamer boycott at one point, if we go back to the the times of 2013 or 2011, whenever it was. So
do we have to go back to that?
Can we block that out?
What do you think to that, though? What do you obviously very positively?
Okay, so the extended cut endings, not the original ending, I was satisfied with it, because not only did I look through the high EMS one where you had the highest score, but I also looked at the low EMS and the messed up ways that you can actually leave the galaxy. And there's, I think, 7 or 8 of them in total. And if you think about it, it's kind of like there's no way to have BioWare reflect all those choices into your game for Andromeda. And even if it does, like, why would you want to, in my opinion? Because there's a huge difference between synthesis and also control. And I think it's much better if we have this new character choose the way that they want to interact with AI, the way that they want to interact with, I don't want Reapers in the next game, but if Reapers come up, yes, I want my character to react differently than my Shepherd did. Instead of just kill, 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 or anything like that, be like, well, I understand where you're coming from.
And I guess BioFan, I've interrupted you 3 times on this one. Please, how do you feel? Again, we're looking at the 2 big pieces of information that the endings to Mass Effect 3 and will not be included or accepted or, retconned, as you were, into Mass Effect Andromeda, and they're moving away from Paragon Renegade. What are your thoughts, BioFan?
The Paragon and Renegade was fun, but it was also pretty restrictive at the same time. Like in Mass Effect 2, there were several story options that you couldn't do unless you were very Paragon or very Renegade. You couldn't be like Paragon or whatever. So you had to...
Renegon.
You had to kind of...
Yeah.
kind of stick with one side. But then in Mass Effect 3, you kind of had that freedom of this is the last one. They kind of let you intermix them a little bit more. And they liked how in Mass Effect 3, they allowed Shepard to kind of tell people their feelings, how they were dealing with things, show them from more emotional standpoints. And they want to do that with Ryder a little bit more. So I think moving into more of a gray area allow us, like Ashe said, to develop a new character with deeper personality. And in terms of the endings, yeah, it would be really hard to not have AI around as an option, or have them around, or have all green people walking around, or regular colored people. Like, it'd be too hard to incorporate that.
We love
also,
Asari to have green skin. Don't get us wrong.
Not glowing.
That's not the green we're talking about.
And
So-
ability
Shiny.
drain. What do you think?
I'm actually glad they're moving it to more shades of grey. With Dragon Age, they've always been more like that. Whereas obviously with Mass Effect, it was more, red or blue. You've got to be good, or you've got to be a bit of a, try not to swear, a bit of a naughty person. So
Yeah, saying naughty
definitely...
person on Canadian
Naughty
airwaves
person.
doesn't have the impact that it might. It means something a little
Very-
bit different. Please continue.
Okay, yeah. So I for one, I'm glad that
Naughty person.
Eric. Yeah, so I'm obviously pleased that they're moving into more shades of grey, and I prefer to kind of straddle between the two because I don't want to be one thing or another, just because I like to play as myself the first time around, and I'm definitely not like a paragon of goodliness or evil. So, for me personally, the more options we get to make the character our own and sort of pick and choose what we do and have more freedom to pretty much do what we want, obviously within the game's restrictions and stuff, then that's great. As for the endings, I hated them, so I'm very pleased that it's not going to affect obviously the new games at all. Again, like Eric said, how are you going to walk around with green skin and then say, oh, well, we hate AI, but we're all sort of sympathized with them, so it just wouldn't work. And so I mean, I can only assume that whenever we left for the galaxy, the Milky Way, that it was either just before the final Reaper attack, or I mean, I couldn't quite work out the timescale there. I know that the devs kind of hinted towards it, but I don't know. I'm still sort of not fully understanding that part yet. So I don't know if you guys want to enlighten me or anything. If you
We got
worked out.
hell years until we reach Andromeda.
Well, yeah, of course. But I mean, when we left, so did we
Ah.
leave? Did we
I
leave
think it's
before
before,
Shepard's
yeah.
story even began? Is this a
I
thing
think-
where it was
Oh,
before the
no.
Reapers even came out, or was
They're
it during the Shepard story? Or?
Purposely being ambiguous about it, but it's like within the Mass Effect trilogy timeline.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't before, because that's what I couldn't quite work out.
It's before the endings, that's for sure.
But it's,
I
it's
think
not before Shepard.
no. But in terms of like galactic peace, they may do like kind of like in between ME2 and ME3 where they have that time jump. I think that's a good place because then everything's kind of developed before everything goes bad.
Unless-
first.
Unless they left
Oh,
just as it went
yeah.
bad, at the beginning.
And that way,
Mass
it's like
Effect could have been
while Shepard was like dead,
incarcerated.
it's
or-
like that's why he didn't know because he was gone.
Oh,
Because
between one and
that was messing with me. Like, why didn't Shepard know that they were making these things? So
yeah,
maybe that would
Oh
be
yeah,
that
in
would be a
between
good
ME1
idea.
and ME2 when Shepard's dead. Yeah, that could be a good time too.
Yeah.
I thought maybe
still
the
think
beginning
it's-
of Mass Effect 3 because
Yeah.
the Reapers attacking and like right, send them now just in case we leave.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
I think
yeah.
it's closer to after the Batarians get attacked because we wiped out their entire homeworld.
Yeah,
So
we did.
Yeah.
yeah, it just makes more sense. Like, oh, this is a real threat, not just collectors, but okay, Reapers are legitimate. Okay, let's actually address this issue.
Or at the end of ME1 there is a Reaper, so maybe that too. So
Mhm.
I just wanted you guys to have a moment there. All right, again.
Mhm.
Speaking with a team of YouTubers all about Mass Effect Andromeda, they've gone in depth into their thoughts, feelings, what they hope to see from it. This is something I think should be said. We'll start just because it's what's on my screen, GamerMD. Why have you spent so much time, and this is going to be for everyone, talking about Mass Effect? What makes it so special that I guess it's worth your attention?
Well, I mean, BioWare games have always been really connected with them. Like I've always connected with the style. But when it comes to Mass Effect, that was my first RPG. That was the first BioWare game I ever played. That was the first game that was much bigger than what I was, than just, controlling a character on the screen from one end to the other. It was just, there was moral questions there. There was decisions. You got to create your own character. You got to connect with your character the way that you wanted to. And I love sci-fi. So I connect with it on all levels. Every game, I love the lore. It's just there's so much to it. And like I said, I'm in love with the sci-fi, the whole sci-fi thing. So I connect with it, and there's so much there to cover. So that's why I spend so much time, because I'm like, there's all these great things that a lot of people, people that didn't read the books, or people that haven't like done as much research as we have, it's cool to let them know about it, because that's when they're like, oh wow, I didn't know that, like it makes so much sense now.
And Ashe, I know it is difficult to be the fourth one after so many of these BioWare aficionados have said exactly what they want, but from your perspective, what do you hope this game really provides? And what will it take? This is another question I want to ask you. How bad does this game have to be that you won't play it?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna play it.
Just doesn't matter. Like there's nothing that they could do.
So, well, the thing is that I'm still gonna play it right whenever it releases.
Sure.
The matter is, even if it's the worst game ever, I will go throughout the entire thing from beginning to finish, because I need to know that it's not just the first 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire 30 hours.
Yeah.
You need to leave the hinterlands of Andromeda.
When it comes to Mass Effect Andromeda, there's a lot riding on it. There's a lot riding on it on many different ways, for the fans, for the people who actually make it. And I mean, for me, I just hope that there's a good balance between risk-taking and also staying true to how they've created games within the past how many years? 20 to 21 years that they've been alive. Because for me, whenever I see a BioWare game, I see characters first, and then world second. Some people, that's world first and character second. In any case, I still want it to be, whenever you play it, it's a Mass Effect experience. It's a BioWare experience. And I don't want that to end because they got a shiny new engine. Although it's really awesome, and it really opens up a lot of doors for technology, at the same time, I really hope that they stay true to it being an RPG rather than just purely action. But at the same time, like MD said, I hope they do take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
And if they can scale to having a lot of different things at the same time, and having this while staying true to what makes BioWare BioWare, then I'm all up for it.
Very, very well said. Big thank you to everyone. We got BioFan, GamerMD, Ashe, Ability Drain. Thank you for talking Mass Effect Andromeda. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Having fun.
And everyone says thank you at the same time. Now, if you're still listening and still watching, we're going to go into a bit of a veer, still in the BioWare vein. Dragon Age. We finished up with the first 3 incredible games. I think everyone here can say that it's a game series that they loved perhaps equally, if not more. Anyone?
More.
Well, I mean, I started.
This is a yes or no, BioFan. Come on now. Too many words.
Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
Like, I love them
One
both.
is more equal
Yeah,
than the
and
other.
for me, Dragon Age is higher up.
Yeah, when parents say that they love their children equally, we know it's a lie, and that's the case here.
That's a lot.
Oh, okay, all right. So speaking to the idea of Dragon Age, what that universe is, what that universe provides, I know all of us very, very excited to see how it ended and how they're setting up for a brand new world. Let's start with you, GamerMD, just because you happen to be the one to my left here. Where do you see Dragon Age going, and what's your hope for that franchise?
For Dragon Age, well, I think with the way that Dragon Age Inquisition ended, it has, especially like after the last DLC, it has a really big future. They opened so many doors. I don't know. I don't want to get into like spoilers or anything, just in case. But,
Please do. If someone's watching this and they haven't played it yet, then sorry, folks. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, with the whole thing with the Titan and the dwarves maybe becoming magic sensitive and stuff, I think it's opening the doors for some really cool stuff that Dragon Age could start delving into, some new things and not just repeats.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see some of that new stuff getting into the next Dragon Age, like dwarves actually wielding magic and what that would mean. And the whole thing with Solus and the whole thing with the Fade, and it kind of like what Ashe said, Dragon Age is one of those that just completely flipped it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So, I mean, as much as it was weird for Dragon Age Inquisition, where it was like, oh my god, they're just completely changing everything on me right now, it's really exciting for the future, I think. And
Ability Drain, you were nodding intensely during that answer. Where do you see this storied fantasy franchise heading to, and where do you hope it goes?
It could head anywhere. With the way they left it, again, like ND said with the DLC, it's just, you've got games and games and games worth of stuff there. The content is, I mean, who knows? Especially with Solus and his little surprise right at the end there. I mean, that needs answering. We need to know what's going on. Can we stop him from essentially destroying the world as the people of Dragon Age know it? The Dragon Age being the time where it's set.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really to do with dragons. So,
There are dragons in this game?
yeah, really. Throw some in just for novelty. Yeah, but it's where would you take it? Just anywhere? I have no idea. I'm completely just take it wherever you want because I'm very invested and I'm happy to play it.
So you kind of there's a indentured trust there that they seem to know what they're doing, and you're happy to wherever they go. You are a glad passenger. You'd follow them to death or otherwise. BioFan.
Well, obviously we saw the murder knife go into Teventure, so I think they'll probably go there, which I'm super excited about, because Teventure is something they've been building out for the past 3 games, so I'm excited for that. But with Patrick Weeks now being the lead writer, I love Patrick's work. He does so many good, like, emotional, like, shocking things that I really love, even though it hurts me. Emotional masochism, but I love it. So I think they closed a lot of story arcs in Inquisition, and they're opening up some new ones probably in the future, or bringing them back in, but kind of in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see where they go from here. There's been little hints here and there of what they might do, but obviously there's Solus is a big end that needs to be tied up. There's a lot that's going to go down, and I'm really excited for what they're going to do in the future.
And Ashe, Lady Insanity herself. We've heard a lot of people happy, excited, trust in me, everyone's good. Are you going to say the same thing?
I'm suspicious about everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to say either way. I am very excited for what the 4th game is going to be. At the same time, I think, like, oh my gosh, like, this could go really, really well and really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, like, for instance, whenever I look at the DLCs, each one of them, even though, like, I have my obvious opinions about Hakon, but Jaws of Hakon, Descent, and also Trespasser each delve into the lore hard. and they give you information that has never been properly exposed within the first 3 games. So whenever it comes to the 4th installment, I'm kind of scared that, well, not scared. So I think they just basically said, oh crap, we want to talk about this in the next game. Let's make sure that we have all the foundations set up so that whenever it comes to Defender, whenever it comes to Dragon Age 4, whatever it actually may be called, it's like, okay, we can just completely pass up by on this. We can just go right into the story and, like, deal with it, just go with it.
That's a good point. I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
I don't want, I'm kind of fearful for anyone who's going to come into Dragon Age in the 4th game, because there is a lot of lore, and I think there's much more fulfillment whenever you know the lore. And obviously some people are just going to say, I want to kill stuff, I want to kill some dragons, I want to do this stuff, I want to, like, romance some people, maybe 2, who knows? Like, I hope that they prepare properly for a new protagonist, a new audience, and satisfying story. No, there's no but.
This is why people should then listen to our channels so we can fill them in.
All right, that's enough out of you guys. No. Speaking again with the BioWare YouTube scions of information and power, GamerMD, BioFan, Ability Drain, and of course, Ashe. There's something I noticed we haven't really talked about. A little bit. Ability Drain spoke to it a bit. The idea of a romance in a video game. For someone that's not acclimated to what this is, it is a strange thing to talk about. I imagine someone just driving home, listen to this saying, sorry, you have a relationship with a figure on your screen? Yeah. So I would love you guys who have such expertise in this from your work with it to try to describe why it works, why it's fun, why it is engaging, and I guess why it adds so more to the story. GamerMD, you had a big smile when I said that, so I'm gonna go right to you if you don't mind. For someone that doesn't know, why does it work? Why do BioWare games have these relationships?
Blackwall.
Well, it works for so many reasons, but it works. And it's funny because I remember one of my friends was played for the first time, and they were like, I was like, we need a romance, and they're like, that's not why I'm playing it, like, it doesn't matter to me if I don't romance anybody, whatever. But immediately, like, months into them playing, they were like, oh my god, I'm so in love with Cassandra, like, oh my god, yes, I was like, oh my god. But I think the main reason why it works is because it takes your connection with somebody and it makes it real. It turns it into something that you understand, and you know how strong that is. And I think I love the idea of not only romances but also family. Like with Dragon Age 2, your mother was in it, your brother, your sister, and when your mother dies in that game, oh my god, it was like you knew what that meant. And having relationships, like romantic relationships, and the way BioWare loves to just stab us in the heart, it's that type of like almost masochism that we love. That it's like, oh my god, like make me cry. Like I want to feel. I want to feel, and they're so good at it. And you know that if there are relationships on there that are as high as a love interest, you're gonna be feeling a lot of real emotions. And for a video game to do that, that blows my mind.
So the idea that it is real in some sense, that they create it in a way that it feels like a real person, even though it's just, great writers, great animation, and a mind behind it that will, deal with any question that you have. Ashe, what about you? And we're going to go around the circle here, but MD had a pretty good answer. I don't know how you're going to top that.
Okay, so I think I have to give context, because I don't want to go through every single romance I did, but I'll just go through Dragon Age at least. In Dragon Age Origins, I married the man who became king. In Dragon Age 2, I romanced the man who slaughtered many different people. Yes. And in Dragon Age Inquisition, I romanced the man who tore down the veil and basically ruined magic for all of them. Tore a hole into my heart. There's so much into the romance. Yeah, there's so much into the romances that it's not just a standalone, I'm gonna romance this guy and have fun with it and whatever, or a girl, of course, but it ties into the story in such a horrible way where it's, you feel connected with that person, but you know that they exist in this world the same much, like they have a responsibility within the world that is more than just you. And I take a lot into that because they're just part of the story, but they're also part of your life, your protagonist's life, and it influences the different decisions that you make. So the fact that I had my Kuzlin who was with the king, like that's a huge deal to me. It's because I became queen because of it. I mean, I'm not saying that I just got with him because I wanted to be queen, but yeah, there's so many decisions that are with those romances that give you more into Dragon Age, into Mass Effect than you would have ever expected.
And BioFan, we got to hear a lot from Ashe, GamerMD. Why do these relationships portrayed by BioWare actually seem to stick? Why do we still remember the flirtations with Liliana in Dragon Age Origin? Why do we still remember the romance scenes of Mass Effect 2 with Garrus that we always wanted? Why are these still in our head?
I think adding in that component of having relationship adds this kind of whole new area of depth to the character, even the protagonist and the characters you're having the romance with. So without that, it cuts off this entire part of making them seem like an actual fully rounded character. Having that viewpoint of what they're like in a relationship, or what you choose to be like in a relationship, opens up this ability for your character to seem more rounded and more expressive, and you to be really in there. It's an option for you to express yourself in the character.
What do you mean by that, to express yourself in the character? I'd like a little further on that.
You have the option to romance who you want to romance. You have different options within that romance. You can be a jerk to them, you can be best friends with them, and then stumble into a relationship. There's different ways you can go about it to express the character or express your own way that you want to do things in the game.
And Ability Drain, why you mentioned it before I even asked in this conversation about these relationships. Why do they stick with you?
These characters are very realistic. You get very attached to them and connected to them because they're with you almost all the time. You interact with them, they come and fight with you, and I think basically it's another way to customize your character because you don't have to romance any of them, or you could romance one, hit it and quit it, and then jump on the others. It's literally, another way of fleshing out your protagonist. And the characters are very likable. I get very, very, very attached to them. So to then be able to romance them if you want to, or get turned down by them if they're not interested, I think just adds another layer to it.
Very, very interesting. Again, speaking with the BioWare crew, the top YouTubers that discuss and display different information from BioWare games, talking about Dragon Age Inquisition, what we hope for it to go. I want to shift gears a little bit before we let you guys go. Your fans and your role as YouTubers. It's something that's hard, I guess, to describe to maybe friends and family of exactly what you do, why you do it, that sort of thing. We'll start with you, BioFan. This role, because you're relatively new to this, not to... what? How do you describe this to the people that you love of what you do? And how important is this to you? Because I think there's one thing that everyone here shares. It's a deep, deep passion for what they do. So, BioFan, I'll start with you. What does it mean?
Like, the way I kind of describe it to my family is kind of like video game journalism, kind of. Like, I covered the development, but it goes deeper than that. If I do, like, lore videos or reactions and trailer analysis. it's something that I get this kind of fulfillment out of because I have such a passion towards the games that following the development, getting connected with other fans, getting connected with developers, it really just kind of fulfills my passion further towards the game.
Continuing from that, you know, Ability Drain, your role in this, what do you think about your fans? What do you think about what you do? And where do you find the passion to keep going on with this?
Well, it started out as a hobby and over time became my full-time job. So, I mean, to do something that you love doing and essentially get paid for it is, you know, kind of what everybody strives to do. And I've met some amazing people through it, fans, I hate calling them fans, subscribers, that sounds better, developers, friends, these guys, you know, it's opened up so many doors, and it's been a lifeline that I don't, you know, if it wasn't for it, I think I'd be in a worse situation than I would be if I took it up. Things are difficult, and I'm not going to get into that, but it's drastically improved my life, so, you know, I owe them all a great deal.
Absolutely. And Ashe, I remember years ago, before I started up this radio show, I would watch your, what was it, Dishonored videos, and thought I thought it was so cool. I thought it was so great. And now, years and years later, everyone here has been able to take this passion and kind of make it into and just so no one feels left out, I've seen all your videos, they're all excellent. They've been able to take that and turn it into a real career. And this is to everyone. I really think everyone here has something to say. And that is something that you think would be in ample supply, but I really don't. You know, I think the idea of having distinct voice and a real message is lacking in this kind of work that you all do. So, Ashe, to you, what does it mean to have the kind of fan base that you have? And what does this work actually mean to you? Because I know it must take a lot out of everyone here to do this stuff at the rate in which they do.
So for me, I mean, it's a lot of sleepless nights. I remember doing different trailer breakdowns in the middle of the night and seeing it rendered at 6 a.m. and barely getting an hour of sleep. But the thing is, it's like, you do this because you want to. For me, it's not just work. It's something that I've been doing just naturally. I mean, there are people who've been following me not because of BioWare, but because of my Bethesda ones, like with Dishonored or with Skyrim. There are people who've been watching me since whenever I used to do esports. I used to compete in Call of Duty professionally. And it's just like, well, these are the people, you know, they're not just viewers. A lot of them are people who I've had conversations with, I've met in real life, that I've met at tournaments, at conventions. These people are, you know, I mean, obviously we don't talk on a daily basis, but at the same time, we all share the same interests. We all are within the same communities, and we all experience the same games. I come from one walk of life, someone else will come from another, but I get at least just a little bit of perspective hearing how they think this game will be or how they experience it. So it's really humbling to have, you know, people share that experience with you. This is what I thought, Mass Effect. This is my shepherd, my inquisitor. And it's really like awesome experience because it's not just fans, it's also community, it's people.
No, I think that's very well said, that it's not just the games. It's a lot more. And just finishing up with GamerMD, I think that a lot of what you've done with the video game platform, the YouTube platform, has been so deeply personal. It has been so much of a cathartic experience that it seems like for you that so many people can relate to that. So you've not only talked about games, but you've talked about your own life so in depth. And I think that means a lot, but that choice to do that, it's a scary one.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's hard to, it's really difficult. Like you were saying, how do you explain what you do to like your family members and stuff like that? People that you hang around. It's really, really hard to have them really understand what it's like for you. Because I think a lot of YouTubers, you will hear them say, my life was not as it was worse without YouTube. Everyone needs an outlet. Everyone needs to feel like they could talk about the things that they're passionate about, especially if they live in a situation that's hard. YouTube has always been my outlet. It has always been my hobby. It's always been what makes me feel happy, because I could talk about what I'm most passionate about here. And it's not just some people. It's really hard for them to be like, oh, so you just talk to the camera? It's like, no, like that's not the camera. I'm talking to everyone out there. I'm talking to other gamers. I'm talking to a community that feel the same way as we do, and that's something extremely special, especially when you start seeing what they say to you, when they start to connect with you, when they say, oh, your video put a smile on my face, I was having a bad day. And it's just like, and even when it comes to the game, it's like, you know what, I really hated this game, but your excitement got me pumped for it, and that's just amazing. It's like, oh, that's so cool. They're actually giving it another go. So it's so much. It just means a lot to me. It's never going. It is, as much as I do get money from it, I will never see it as my job. It's always going to be something much more than that. It's always going to be what puts a smile on my face, what makes it easier to go on. YouTube is that support system, and that way of expressing what you love. It's just awesome.
Very beautifully said. Thank you all so much for taking the time, coming on to 2 hours now, but we really do appreciate it. Talking Mass Effect, talking Dragon Age, talking BioWare, and then finally talking life. I'm going to give you all just 30 seconds. Final thoughts on Mass Effect, and then, where fans can reach you, some of your social networking things. You can be longer than 30 seconds. It's okay. BioFan, we'll start with you, sir. Final thought on Mass Effect? I know you have to go first. Everyone else gets time to think. Final thought on Mass Effect Andromeda, and where they can reach you at if people liked what you had to say here and they want to see more.
Well, I think that it's going to be an interesting experience no matter what happens. So I'm just looking forward to when they show us more and when the game finally comes out. I'm on YouTube. You can just Google, look in YouTube, type in BioFan. I usually come up, or youtube.com/BioFanOfficial. I'm on Twitter as @BioFanOfficial. I'm on Tumblr and other places and stuff as well, but you can find that all on the YouTubes and stuff.
And Ability Drain, please.
I think to mirror what Eric has said, really, I'm optimistic, cautiously so, admittedly. But I think, whatever happens, however the game turns out, it's going to be interesting and definitely worth playing. And as for where you can find me, pretty much everywhere is Ability Drain, so youtube.com/Ability Drain, Twitter's Ability Drain, Instagram is Ability Drain. You just need to type my name in Google and you'll find me.
All right, and Ashe?
I hope Mass Effect is good. I hope it's the game that BioWare wanted to create, that they accomplish all their goals, that they set forth to make something that they're proud of. I am going to be cautiously optimistic, of course, but I'm excited to see what they'll come up with, and I hope it does really well. And you can find me on YouTube. It's Lady X Insanity. Also, I'm on Twitter and Twitch, Lady Insanity as well. Yeah, that's just pretty much it. You can always find me there, and my videos as well.
Finally, GamerMD, your final thoughts on Mass Effect and where fans can find you if they're not already aware of your exploits.
Well, I guess, everyone knows that I'm excited about Mass Effect, so that goes without saying, but I think what I do want to say is to everyone that is watching or listening, to anything going out with when it comes to Mass Effect or BioWare is try to enjoy the production period. BioWare is they communicate a lot with their fans, and I think that's not easy to find when it comes to developers. They're very tight-knit. Like they will interact with fans, and I think that's really cool. So it's I've always been the type of person to support a developer like that shows that they care about their fans. So I think it's tough to make a game. So I really hope for the best for the developers for the game, but I also hope it all goes well with them. I hope it's not something too hard on them. So I think we should all just try to enjoy this production period because it is exciting. And where you can find me on Twitter at GamerMD83, on YouTube GamerMD83 as well, and I also Twitch sometimes, not Twitch, but on Twitch, twitch.tv/GamerMD83. Every now and then I will go on there and live stream. So yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so much. Really do appreciate it. Absolutely. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, everything BioWare. We can't wait. And make sure you keep listening. This is Andy Burkowski, VGS, on Talk Radio, AM 640.